Palworld can feel confusing and overwhelming at the start. This video is the guide I wish I had when I started. I'm Vadd. Welcome to my beginner's guide for Palworld. We're going to go into the options right here at the start, select the graphic settings, and right there at the top in yellow letters, if below the recommended specs, play in window mode at a lower resolution. So if you're having some trouble in game with things how they're going, you can go into the presets here and you can play at a lower setting here, and then you can go into screen mode and you can set it to window mode, and that might help you out. At the very bottom, the setting I think is important is your camera field of view. I like to have this at the max. I like to turn camera shake off, and I like to set my ride camera distance as well to the max here. This is going to give me the largest field of view as I'm exploring. This may require you to restart after you have adjusted these. Palworld is closing in on its second completed year in early access. These tips and tricks to get you started are going to be relevant even as it moves closer to the 1.0 release. These are fundamental, foundational, how the game works at the start ways to do things. Listen, there are timestamps for your viewing pleasure. Let's go ahead and start our game. Create new world, name it what you like. I'm going to go with the Palpagos Islands. I'm not playing multiplayer. Difficulty, we can set to custom, hardcore, hard, normal, casual. Let's leave it on normal and then go in the custom settings. Again, there are timestamps if you don't want to hear about the settings, but we're going to go over what these are so you know how to adjust your world. On the difficulty world settings, you can see on the top here, there is casual, normal, hard, hardcore. These are great settings that I think are accurately named and colored for their difficulty. We're going to go off the normal settings. I'm going to go over what each world setting does so you have some idea of how it works so you can adjust these as needed. Daytime speed. The lower this number is, the longer the day is. So right now it's at 1. If we lower this number to 0.5, the day is going to be longer. Nighttime speed. The lower this number is, the longer the night is. Right now it's at 1. If we lower this number, nights will take longer. If we raise this number above 1, nights will be shorter. There are some pals that only spawn at night or only come out during the day, so you do want to have some nighttime. But if it's not your favorite time to go and explore, you can raise this number to make the nights more brief. Autosave interval. 5 minutes seems plenty. XP rate. The higher the number is, the more experience you're going to get for each action. So if normally at 1, you would get 10 XP for doing a thing, and we set it to 2, now you'll get 20 XP for doing a thing. Pal capture rate. Every time you try and capture a pal, there's a chance you do or don't catch them. The higher this number is on the pal capture rate, the more likely you are to catch them. The lower this number is, the less likely. Pal appearance rate is an important one to understand. Right now it's set to 1. This means if there's a spawn point where 1 pal should spawn, it'll spawn in 1 pal. If there's a spawn point where 2 pals should spawn, it'll spawn in 2 pals. If we set this to 2, at that spawn point that should have 2 pals, it will now have 4 pals. At the spawn point with 1 pal, it'll now have 2 pals. If we set this to 3, that 1 pal spawn point will have 3 pals. That 2 pal spawn point will have 6 pals. This is why you see in the abstract affects a game's performance. It is fun to have the pal appearance rate turned up, as more pals I think is more fun. However, this is going to significantly impact your hardware, so pay attention. If you turn this down to say 0.5, a pal spawn point with 1 pal should still have 1 pal. A pal spawn point that should spawn in 2 pals will only spawn in 1 pal. Damage from pal's multiplier. If a wild pal attacks your pal, this is the damage they're set to receive. It's currently set at 1, so if a wild pal hits your pal for 100 damage, and we change it to 2, that damage would then be 200. Or if we set it to 0.5, 0.5, that 100 damage attack would be 50 damage. Damage to pal's multiplier. This is when your pals attack other pals. Right now it's at 1, so if they attacked for 100 damage, it would do 100 damage. If we changed it to 2, they would attack for 200 damage with that same attack. If we changed it to 0.5, they would attack for 50 of that hypothetical 100 damage. Pal hunger depletion rate. Your pals get hungry, and they're going to stop and eat. Right now, let's say it's at 1, and that's 1 pal food for each hour. If we set it to 2, they might need 2 pal foods every hour. If we set it to 0.5, they might only need 1 pal food every 2 hours. The higher this number, the more they eat. The lower this number, the less they eat. Pal stamina reduction rate. The higher this number is, the more stamina is consumed by an action. Right now it's set to 1. Let's say that you do an action that costs 100 stamina, it will use 100 stamina. If we set this to 2, that same action that cost 100 stamina will now cost 200 stamina. If we set it to 0.5, that same 100 stamina action will now take 50 stamina. The lower this number is, the longer it'll take for our pal's stamina to run out. Pal auto health regeneration rate. The higher this number is, the faster our pals regenerate health. The lower this number is, the slower they regenerate health. Right now it's set to 1. Let's assume that means every hour they get 100 health. If we set it to 2, every hour they would get 200 health. If we lowered it to 0.5, every hour they would get 50 health. Pal sleep health regeneration rate. Your pals do go to sleep at night, and they do rest in the pal box, or when defeated, they can end up in the pal box as well. By raising this number, they're going to regenerate health faster, and by lowering it, it'll slow their health regeneration. Right now it's set to 1. Let's say that every hour they get 100 health. If we set it to 2, they will then get 200 health in that same hour. If we set it to 0.5, they'll get 50 health in that hour. Damage from player multiplier. The higher this number is, the more damage our player character does. The lower this number is, the less damage our player character does. It's currently set at 1. At 1, maybe we do 10 damage, and at 2, we would do 20. If we lower this number to 0.5, that same 10 damage action will become 5 damage. Damage to player multiplier. The lower this number is, the less damage our character takes. So right now it's set to 1. Let's say an attack hits us for 10 damage. It will do 10 damage. If we lower this to 0.5, that same 10 damage attack will now do 5 damage. If we raise this to 2.0, that 10 damage attack will now do 20 damage. Player hunger depletion rate. The lower this number is, the less hungry you are. What this means is if you need to eat 1 food every hour at 1, and we set it to 2, you now need to eat 2 foods every hour. If we set it to 0.5, you only need to eat 1 food every 2 hours. The higher this number is, the more food you're going to need to consume. Player stamina reduction rate. The lower this number is, the longer it will take to run out of stamina. It's currently set to 1. If we do an action that costs 100 stamina, it'll cost 100 stamina. If we do that same action and we set it at 0.5, it'll only cost 50 stamina. If we do that same 100 cost stamina action at 1, but we change the setting to 1.5, it'll cost 150 stamina. Player auto health regeneration rate. The higher this number is, the faster you recover health. The lower this number is, the slower you recover health. Player sleep health regeneration rate. The higher this number is, the faster you recover health. The lower this number is, the slower you recover health. There are beds you can sleep in that you can also use to pass time to get through the night. And if you wanted to change this, you could change this to 2. And now when you rest in your bed, your health will regenerate 200% faster. Damage to structure multiplier. The lower this number is, the less damage your structures will take. It's currently set to 1. If an attack hits it for 100, it'll do 100 damage. If we set it to 0.5, that 100 damage attack will now do 50 damage. If we set it to 2.0, this higher number here, now that same 100 damage attack will do 200 damage. Structure deterioration rate. The lower this number, the slower the deterioration. I oftentimes set this to 0. I don't want my structures deteriorating. I don't want to have to be going around repairing them. This can add more load to your world, as if you just keep building structures all over the place, eventually they're just everywhere. I still like it at 0. The higher this number is, the more often you'll need to repair your structures as they degrade over time. Maximum number of dropped items in a world. It's default set to 3,000. If your world is having load troubles, you might want to lower this. If you're able to, you might want to raise this. If you have 3,000 chunks of resources your pals are harvesting, you go out and fight a boss and you also create more resources, the world is not going to allow more than 3,000 items dropped on the ground. So maybe you're fighting something big and a tree gets blown up and now there's some tree lying on the ground. The newest resource takes precedent and it'll delete the older stuff. So there are times when maybe you do have the maximum number of items lying around in the world. It is possible. You might want to raise this, but at the same time, it will increase load on your hardware, so pay attention to that. Gatherable items multiplier. The higher this number is, the more resources you will receive. So right now it's set to 1. If you hit 1 tree, you take out the tree and you get 10 logs. If we set it to 2, we take out that same tree, we might get 20 logs. If we set it to 0.5, we hit the same tree down. Instead of getting 10 logs, we would get 5 logs. Gatherable object health multiplier. You go up to the same tree. It has 100 health. And it takes you 10 hits to knock down the tree. If we make this 2.0, it now has 200 health and it'll take you 20 hits to knock down the tree. Maybe you'd been up here in the damage from player multiplier and you max this out and now you're just harvesting all the trees in 1 hit. So you could go down to the gatherable object health multiplier and you can make them have more health. So you're back to chopping at a regular speed. Or maybe you lower the gatherable object health multiplier because you don't want to have to spend that much time hitting a tree or whatever the resource might be. Gatherable objects respawn interval. You've chopped down a tree, it's set at 1, in 1 hour it will grow back. If you change this to 2.0, it'll now grow back in 2 hours. The gatherable object respawn interval, if it's lower, they're going to respawn quicker. You've chopped down a tree. It's set to 0.5. It'll now grow back in a half an hour. Dropped items multiplier. The higher this number is, the more items and material you'll receive when defeating an opponent. So right now it's set to 1. Let's say you beat some creature and it drops 1 stack of leather. If it's set to 2, they'll drop 2 stacks of leather. If it's set to 0.5, they might not drop a stack of leather. Or if they're set to drop 4 stacks of leather, they'll only drop 2. So this might be the dropped item multiplier. You have it set to the maximum number. You have your pals at base harvesting. They've harvested 2,999 stacks of wood they're trying to pick up. And then you blow up a pack of creatures and all of a sudden they all drop 50 stacks of leather and your pals at base lose some of the items. It is a potential thing to happen. So you might want to keep the dropped item multiplier high so you get more drops, but you also might not want to if it's putting too much load on your max number of dropped items in the world. Item weight rate. If you pick up something that should weigh 10 pounds at 1 and you set this to 2, it'll now weigh 20 pounds. If you set this to 0.5, it'll weigh 10 pounds. Equipment durability loss multiplier. Your equipment degrades over time. The higher this number is, the faster that happens. You set this to 0, your equipment will not degrade. I like setting it to 0. I don't really enjoy repairing or replacing equipment. Meteorite/supplies drop interval is currently set to 180. This is 180 minutes. This means if you pick up one of these items 180 minutes later, another one will spawn in. Time to incubate massive eggs. This is a slider to directly incubate the massive eggs, which generally take longer. Enable raid events. If this is off, your base will never be raided by any NPCs or wild animals. If it's on, they will raid you. Enable predator pals. Predator pals are super tough, wild encounters that might have some bonus loot and are worth fighting. You can't catch a predator pal currently, but they're definitely kind of fun, but they can add to the challenge. You might want this off. I like it on. Death penalty. It's currently set to drop all items. When you die, everything we're holding will drop. We can change it to drop all items except equipment. So it's going to drop our inventory, but we'll keep what we're wearing. We can change it to drop everything and all of our pals. It'll drop everything in our inventory, everything we're holding, and all of the pals on our team. I like to set this to no drop, but I think most players will probably enjoy drop all items except equipment. You'll keep your pals, you'll keep what you're wearing, but whatever you have in your inventory, you'll drop. Max number of guilds. If this is a multiplayer server and people want to team up, they'll need to make a guild. Max number of bases for each guild. This is a way to limit individual guilds from getting too big. So if you have, 3 good guilds on your server with a group of friends, you could set it so each group could have 10 bases. Well, that means your server's holding 30 bases potentially. So you might want to limit it to 4, then there's only going to be a total of 12 bases at most. Since I'm playing by myself, I like to set it to 10. Max number of working pals at the base. This is an important one to understand. As you upgrade your base, you'll be able to have more pals working at your base. So if I have 2 bases with 20 pals each, I have 40 pals in the world working. But you can raise this up and you can upgrade your base so you have 2 bases with 50 pals each. You have 100 pals working. This might be too much for your hardware. You might want to lower this number. 30 pals is actually quite a lot and a very nice number to have, depending on how many bases you build. Max structures per base. Again, if you have a group of people playing, you might want to limit how many structures they can build so bases don't get too large. As a solo player, I want no limits. Random pal mode. This setting cannot be changed after creating the world. I don't recommend messing with this on your first go. This is a way to randomize your seed so that you have just a randomized assortment of pals as you play. This might be fun for return players, but not beginners. Enable fast travel. I think this is a fun thing to have on. You might want to turn it off. Fast travel is not all that pervasive, but the map isn't very small. It's actually growing over time, so it's probably worth having on. Hardcore mode, permanent loss of progress upon player death. If it's on, you lose everything. If it's off, you don't. Let's leave this off. We're a beginner. Hardcode mode, pals who die will be permanently lost. Oh, my bleeding heart. Leave this off, please. Allow pal genetic data to be saved in the global pal box. Allow pals to be reconstructed from the global pal box. This is outside the scope of a beginner guide, but there's an opportunity to have a pal you really like and to load it into kind of a global pal box, and then you can download it again in a different world. That's the short version. Now that you know what these settings do, I recommend setting them to what's going to be most fun for you. For example, I like having a longer daytime speed, so my daytime speed's a little higher. I like having increased XP rate, so my XP rate's a little higher. Please play what's the most fun for you. Go ahead and start your game, and on drop in, we're going to make our way forward towards the wind-swept hills. Then we're actually going to turn around, and let's see what's back here. Palworld does a great job of rewarding you for exploring, and it's often worth looking around. There's going to be a giant glowing object here, which is some adventure notes, and then this chest right here. That's weird, it's locked. Maybe something's wrong. Let's try again. Spawn in, drop in, go back down the hills, find the giant glowing blue adventure notes. Turn around, check the chest, and lock chest. The point I'm trying to make here is that no 2 adventures are exactly the same in Palworld. There's a little bit of RNG involved with things. A lot of the foundational kind of building block knowledge things we're going to go over here are going to be relevant for everyone, but sometimes you're going to catch different pals than me or have a different chest open up for you. Okay. We're going to make our way up the steps and give ourselves 3 big goals, okay? 3 goals. Let's craft some basic tools, catch a few pals, and make our way down the hill. That's it. That is the list of our goals right now. In the top right corner, there is that little mission box there, which actually has a few good objectives here for us early on, which is to grab this great eagle statue. These are fast travel points, which are very nice. And then after we've grabbed that statue, let's go ahead and pick up the stick and make our way over to this other adventurer and NPC at a campsite. Talk to them, they'll give us some resources, and then just catch our breath and take in the view. There's a whole world of fun and excitement in front of us. We do have 3 big goals: to craft some basic tools, catch some pals, and go down the hill. And going down the hill is kind of basic, and it's not complicated, and that's on purpose. Palworld is just not a complicated game, and in a lot of ways, yes, we could just check it off the list and run straight down the hill. I want to show you that. You can see there's a dirt path here on the side. You can pretty much just follow it straight down the hill and you'll get to the bottom of the hill and you can check it off the list. Great job. I've done Vadd's objective. I'm the best. Well, here's my point. Palworld is an open world, survival, crafting, base management, resource management, some light creature collecting type of adventure. And it's truly that an adventure. You know you're on the right path down the hill because you'll find another fast travel point as well as a little stone structure. However, what I really want to emphasize here is it's not a checklist game. You're not just doing things to check them off the list. Have fun. Find your own fun. Make your own fun. Wander. It's an open world. Go anywhere you want to. We're down the hill, but we haven't really done anything right. We're going to go back to the top, and we're going to spend our unused skill points. There's 3 points I think have the most value this early on. That's health, stamina, and weight. I think health probably has the most long-term value. Let's also open up our build menu here on the bottom left there. Okay, you can see that we're going to build a primitive workbench. It's also the mission objective on the top right as well. Once you select build, you have this little ghost outline. You can walk around with it to place it. Okay. We're going to place it down here. This looks nice. Once you place a structure, you then have to hold long press to build, and it's going to take some time. This is going to be the primitive workbench where we can build the stone pickaxe, the stone axe, and a club. Let's do that. We're going to pick up some stones that we find around here, and the first thing we're going to build is probably going to be that pickaxe. We needed 5 stones. They're just lying on the ground. You should be able to find 5. As you continue to look around, you will eventually find just 5 rocks lying on the ground. Once you craft it, you select craft, it goes into the queue, you long press again the craft, and you click again to pick up. Okay, it takes several button prompts, but we now have a pickaxe. Hey, this is a basic tool. Let's hit a rock. Look at that. Now we don't need to go around looking for rocks on the ground. We can find some stone. And we even got lucky. We got a little paldium fragment. Nice. We can now make the club, we can make the axe, and we're on our way to surviving. We're not just going down the hill. We're learning these basic tools that you really need. Now, as we level up, okay, you can see here we can move our tools around, we can unequip them, we can re-equip them, and if we want to shift them around, you can see in the bottom right there that there's a little button prompt. You can switch them around as well. As we level up, back in our inventory, there's a tech tree, okay? Unlocking these technologies are going to cost tech points. Go ahead and unlock the Pal Sphere. You don't want to always just spend all your tech points and unlock everything first chance you get. I recommend always holding on to them whenever you can. In this first section, I kind of know what I'm going to be building towards, so I can build these without issue. If you're struggling to do something, there might be a tech you need to build it. Let's go into our build menu, go into the disassemble mode, and let's disassemble this primitive workbench. These are the 2 big parts of building, right? Building something, taking it down. Okay, the primitive workbench is how we made the primitive tools of the club, the axe, and the pickaxe. That's it. There's nothing complicated here. Now, they want us to get a paldium fragment. We already have one, but let's go ahead and find them. There are these little blue shiny rocks, and they're all over the place. Look at this. I mean, they're all around this little lake. You can get these all over the place. Paldium fragments. These are great. We need these. We need paldium fragments. We've got them. Okay, go ahead and place down your primitive workbench. Okay, go ahead and build it again. We're going to go ahead from here and we're going to craft something new, the Pal Sphere. So remember, we had to spend the tech points to learn how to build these. Then we need to get the paldium fragment, and then we're able to craft it here at the bench. This is actually the completion of our first goal, to craft basic tools. We have the pickaxe, the axe, the club if we want to hit something, as well as the Pal Spheres. Now, Pal Spheres are great. We can use them to catch pals. You can see here that the percentage is shown, and sometimes the number goes up or down based on a couple of different things. There's a bonus if you throw the Pal Sphere at the back side of the pal. You're going to get a bonus. It's kind of a surprise sneak attack. If you lower their health, the percentage goes up. You have a better chance of catching them, and a couple other niche things. Once you catch a new pal, it's going to have a little pop-up here on the right. It gives you a little bit of info. The important thing to note early on, there's a bonus to capturing multiples of the same pal. So it's definitely going to be worth chasing down that XP bonus. Go to your inventory, open up the party tab, and you can see the basic skills here for our new pal. Back at our primitive workbench, wherever you place that down, this pal can actually help us craft things. Look, go to the party, select your Kativa, and see it has handiwork, okay? This pal has a skill of handiwork, so it'll help us craft things. It'll actually do all the crafting by itself. You can help it craft, but ultimately there's always a pal that does a job better than you, and your job here in Palworld is oftentimes to assign the right pal to the right job. Go into your options, and then your options, and then controls. You need to spend some time in here learning how to find the Command Pal tab. Command is an important button prompt to learn. You need to know the Command Pal prompt. It's going to bring up a big circular menu with important features. For example, right now we set our pal to focus on the same enemy. This means whatever enemy we're in combat with, they're going to then come and join the fight. Very nice. We can then open up that command menu again, and this time we can say, hey, I want you to be aggressive. Fight whatever you find, and it's going to start fights. Notice that's going to pull aggro. It's going to make other creatures aggressive towards us as well. So you might not want your pals on aggressive. You actually might want to set them to, hey, please stop attacking things. You're going to hurt something that I'm trying to catch. Oh my goodness, we can pull them back in our Pal Sphere, or we could turn them off from aggressive. Congratulations, you're officially doing it. You're catching pals, you're crafting basic tools. We're just gonna make our way down the hill as we go, continuing this trajectory. Just keep catching pals. Don't worry if your inventory fills up. They'll end up in the first pal box you build. Some pals you're gonna be unable to catch. They're just too tough. If you run out of supplies or tools, you can always recraft them. You know how to get stone. You know how to get that paldium fragment. You know how to get the wood. You can also see trees give you a little fiber, and you're going to be able to keep making your way down the hill. Keep crafting tools, catching pals, whatever you see, you're doing it. There's no rush here. Go at your own pace, have your own fun. Nobody is saying, hey, you need to quick get here and do a thing. No, no, no. This is all at your own speed. If you're having trouble catching something, lower its health a little bit. If you die, it'll just throw you back up at that first checkpoint we got, the first fast travel point. Take your time, make your way down the hill, crafting tools and catching pals. You'll know, again, you're at the bottom of the hill here as you'll come to this little stone structure. So congratulations, you've done it. You crafted basic tools, you caught some pals, and you've made it down the hill. We're going to talk to the NPCs here. They're going to give us some items, potentially, maybe a side quest. You never know. And we'll pick up this green statue here, this giant glowing green Lif monk effigy statue. Very nice. Now, on your way down the hill, if it got dark and the night was coming, you could build a foundation and then put a wall on that foundation. And then on top of the wall, put a roof. Any building you need to do needs to have a foundation or a pillar, which acts as a foundation under it. So we have a foundation under, and then we'll put a bed on. Now notice the bed, it needs to be indoors. Okay, that means a foundation with a roof. The bed needs to be indoors. It needs to be a foundation, okay, with a roof. Now, once we put this bed down, we'll have to build it. And then we will be able to rest and sleep and skip the night. It's that easy. So if you've been out here too long and it starts to get late at night, you can go ahead and build this little structure. Now, if you don't have the foundation or the bed, well, go into your tech tree and spend your tech points so that you unlock wooden structures in the bed. I mean, that's it. Everything needs a foundation to build. So if we destroy the foundation, it'll destroy everything. Good to know. Okay. On your way down the hill, did you find more treasure chests? There's a few of them around, and they're lots of fun. How about on your way down the hill, did you stop and talk to the friendly pal tamer? Did you try and catch the friendly pal tamer? I mean, you've got a pal, you've got a pal sphere. Everybody's an amigo if you try hard enough, right? This guy actually kind of took a lot of offense to this. I didn't do it. It wasn't me. Okay, it was totally me. Seriously, though, think outside the box. You know, if you think, can I do this? Try and do it. Further down the hill, there's this fast travel point, and there's this veteran pal tamer. Did you try and catch the veteran pal tamer? I mean, you've got a pal sphere. They look like they could be a pal. Sure, why not? Or did you try and catch them, fail? Did you bring them up to this kind of field boss, okay? These big old mammo-rests, these field boss, the king of the forest, and see if you can see how much damage their gun actually does. Turns out, not enough. Listen, if you think you can do a thing, try and do a thing. Explore, adventure. We need to set a new goal. We're going to make our way through this little structure here and set some new goals here. We're going to catch more pals. We're going to find the first boss tower, and we need to get to a base location. This is going to be familiar to you. It's things you've already done so far up to this point. We're going to catch more pals. It's a huge part of Palworld, exploring and catching pals. You see that giant glowing tower straight in front of us? That's what we're walking towards. We're going to head in that direction, catching pals. If you run out of pal spheres, you might find some on the ground, but you also know how to craft the tools to make more pal spheres. You're going to be able to catch some stuff here that maybe you didn't see on the hill, and maybe some stuff you can't catch. It's a little too tough. Live and learn. Live and learn. We're going to make our way up the hill towards the giant tower. These boss towers are a great objective to work towards. They're not something we're going to cover in detail in this video, but I want you to know where the very first one is. The recommended level for this tower at this current time is level 15, but realistically you can do it whenever you want. Whether you'll be successful or not will come down to the pals you bring and the power you have. This is the Rain Syndicate Tower. We found another fast travel point. And along the way, we're catching some pals, right? Here's another pal sphere on the steps. Very nice. To the left here is this tower. This is the first boss tower right here. It's a great challenge and definitely something to work towards. You'll need to catch stronger pals, train them up through fighting and whatnot so they get a higher level, and make your way back here. There's a 10-minute time limit on this tower. You can see it on the doors. So you can try it out. It's a pretty low-risk activity, depending on, I guess, your death settings, but it's something you need to know where it is, as it's something to be working towards later on. Again, outside the scope of this video on how to beat the boss, but suffice to say, you need to know about this, okay? Now, we want to get to a base location. I have 2 locations I recommend. There are timestamps in the video if you don't want to watch how to get to both of them, but we're going to go to the furthest one first. This first base location is a little further away than the second one from where we are right now, but it's still a good spot. As we make our way to this base location, I want you to recognize that you are playing the game. This is the game. The base play loop, the main core experience of Palworld is you go and explore, you fight some pals, you catch some pals, and you find a new base location and you build a new base, and then you keep progressing from there. Real quick here, you see this is a split in the road here. We can go to the right and we can follow the dirt road we're following. There's this kind of stone structure poking out, or we can go left up the grassy hill. We're going to go left up this grassy hill here. Hey, you're playing the game. There's a little more to it than what I just said, but that's kind of the core of it. You're going to keep exploring, keep finding new pals to catch. And as you explore and catch new pals, you're going to catch stronger pals. You're going to fight. You're going to grow in your experience and your damage. You'll know you're on the right path here because there's this stone bridge here. See the stone bridge? This is your landmark for, hey, I went the right way. Yay. And then we continue into the yellow trees here. Listen, you really are playing the game. If you think there's a whole lot more to it than what I just said, there's a little more, but not a lot more, okay? So if this isn't kind of appealing to you, if you haven't been having fun up to this point, and you're like, hey, when does the fun start? Well, this is the fun. Look, we found the new pal we haven't seen before. Hey, that's cool. Let's catch it. That's what you do. You fight them, you catch them, you know, and you go and you get new resources. We're going to go to the right here towards the settlement and grab the fast travel point while we're here, because this is a fun little location and it's worth talking to everyone here, exploring. We're going to keep running to the base location. We'll go ahead and make this guy happy, make his day. 1% chance to catch. Good luck us. Fingers crossed he escaped. What are the odds? All right, back up the stairs here, okay? There's actually another fork in the road. To the right was that settlement, which is your landmark, and then to the left here is this little dirt path. We're going to follow the left up the hill. Our next clue is we're going to head towards some steps and then a bridge. Nothing too tricky here. Listen, over time, you're going to find new locations you want to build a base on. Go for it. But your first base is kind of special because it's your first one, right? Up the steps here, you can see the bridge in the distance. You know we're on the right way. The first base is special because it's your first one, and I've picked these two locations with a lot of care to make sure that they're going to be a good spot to build your first base. I'm actually really tempted to catch these little creatures here. I've been kind of exploring for maybe a little too long, so we'll try and catch one really quick. Remember, it is part of our 3 goals, right? Catch pals, find the tower, get to our base location. So we really should be kind of catching pals along the way. This one's level 9. That'd be pretty sweet to catch. Not great odds, but I've got a few pal spheres to waste. Oh, goodness. The Syndicate is here. So there's a small plot line going on, and maybe it gets larger later on, with these Syndicate thugs, these bad guys. And they're up to no good. You know, they don't think pals are friends. They think pals are meant to be their slaves. I don't know. They've got a whole thing going on. It's not too crazy. All right, there's a bridge guy here, okay? He's going to try and shoot you. If you throw out your pal, you can distract him with your pal, okay? And it makes this a lot easier. This character I'm on right here has not spent a single attribute point. It is a base level character doing its best not to get killed. But if you throw out a pal, it'll distract the amateur hunter here, and then you can make your way. So again, like I said, there's a little more to the game than what I said. But for the most part, you explore, you catch pals, you fight pals, you build a base, you keep going forward. Listen, these Syndicate guys have these little pals trapped in cages. When you free them, they're now your pals. You're now best of friends. So it's definitely worth doing that, as it doesn't cost you any pal spheres. So it's pretty good. All right, we're just continuing straight, and we're going to start curving to the left here. So there's actually a split here. We can go to the right, or we can go to the left. We're going to go left, which is up the hill, okay, towards this side here, up the dirt path here. There's this giant ore rock shiny on the right, and go up the path here. So if you're like, then this isn't that much fun to me, all right, return it. Like, stop playing. Like, if you're not having fun, it's not going to magically become more fun. Look at the wolf up there. That guy's cool. This zone's a little higher level than where we started out, so it might be a little tough to get here. Make sure your spawn rates aren't crazy, because it could be kind of tough to get here if everything's spawning in triple. Right, 1 wolf is tough. 3 wolves is a little more tough. Listen, we're at the spot. You see these ore rocks over here? This is the spot. This is a great base location. It's wide open, flat. We've got a view of the ocean. We have these fun yellow trees, these rolling hills, and we have these ore nodes for a little later on when you need them. This is a great location. This is the first location I'm recommending. It's a little harder to get to But I think it's a really fun spot for your first base. It's got some good stuff here that's definitely worth, it's an easy spot to build. It has plenty of trees and stones and whatnot to kind of get yourself off the ground and running. I highly recommend here for your first base. It's just a good spot. It's that simple. A little hard to get to. It takes a little bit of work to get here, but it's definitely worth it. Back at the previous fast travel point, right out the tower, right? We go back up the steps. We're going to go to the right. Again, we're going to run into some syndicate thugs, and we're going to be catching pals. Remember, our 3 main goals here: get to a base location, find the tower, catch the pals, catch those pals. You see something new and fun, engage with it. Try and figure it out. Again, we're going to run into some syndicate thugs like we did in our last run. These guys really do think that pals are kind of slave labor. Really, we all know pals are friends. So we're going to go ahead and free this pal and make them our friend. Now they work for us. Totally better. I mean, we are such a better taskmaster. Listen, as we're on the way here for our next base location, let's catch some pals. This is a new one we haven't caught yet. There was some on the hill, but I didn't engage with them on the way down. So this character here is going to work on trying to catch them. Darn, my Kativa's a little too much for these foxy guys here. If we can catch something new, we will. This is the game. This is the core experience of Palworld. You explore, you fight, you catch new pals, you find a cool spot for a base, you start building a base. That's the core of the game, okay? I just want to make sure I've hammered that home here in this beginner guide. Now, sometimes you can get away with catching these little syndicate thugs. Let's see, he's kind of low health. This might be a good opportunity for us. Excuse me, sir. Would you like to come work for me? Come on. All right, good enough. We caught a couple foxes. We caught a thug. We'll take that. We'll see what we can do. Take him back to our base, make him our own. Listen, we're going to make our way up here towards this hill. And there's a little windy, jumpy spot here. We're going to go ahead and jump up the wind spot. This is nice. And we're almost at our base. There's 2 main ways to get to this base outside of like flying, okay? There's going to be that bridge there on the right, and then these little rocks we're going to jump our way up. Those are the 2 ways to get into this base. So it's a nice location simply because there's only 2 ways to get into it, so you only need 1 big gate if you're worried about kind of getting raided. Not a big deal though. This is our second spot. It's relatively flat as well. There's some fun things you can kind of build up into the hill, especially with pillars, and it has some ores to help you out early on. This is the second base location I'm going to recommend for a beginner. These are my 2 base locations, timestamp, so you can find them. These are great spots to build your very first base. Now that we have some options for a base location, up next, let's talk about base building basics, a little bit of PAL management, and emphasize the importance of leveling up. Here at the second base location, you can see there's 2 main ways to get up here into this base. There's the rocks. We jumped our way up over here on the left, and then kind of in front of us here down on the right, we have this bridge. So the rest of the base kind of goes back towards this plateau here behind us, which is where we want to put our PAL box. You can see that's our current mission objective, and this is the fundamental, foundational first piece of every base. Now, once we put down the PAL box, it's going to be a fast travel point in a location we can spawn in when we die. It's going to put down this blue circle. Everything inside the blue circle towards the PAL box is inside the base. Everything outside the PAL box is outside the base. You can still build outside the base, but it's going to affect your pals. You can see some of these trees are kind of a little bit outside the blue line, a little bit inside the blue line. So if you want to move your PAL box, just like before, go into your build menu, disassemble, and then you can adjust where this goes down. And then you can kind of look where this PAL box goes. Sometimes I'll use a landmark like these 2 ore rocks next to me to try and figure out how I want to squeak the box around. It's not really a big deal. Don't overthink it. This is part of why we try and pick flat open spaces to build. But if you don't like the first placement, you can move it. It's not a big issue. And you can see here as we hunt down that blue exterior baseline here that this tree's now inside the base. I'm a little bit happier with just this positioning here. So I'm happy with this. So we're going to go ahead and move forward. But you can take all the time in this you want to. Don't overthink it. It's not a big deal. Okay, so you can see I've got plenty of room on this cliff as well. All is well. We're going to want to keep leveling up as we're building things, crafting things, catching pals, fighting pals. Everything we do more or less gives us a little bit of XP. So as long as you're active, you're going to be getting XP for the most part from our PAL box. Let's go to the PAL management menu. Very important menu here, okay? In this menu, if you have any pals that are knocked out, you can move them into your box. They'll no longer be incapacitated. They'll have a little cooldown timer, and then they'll be good to go again. Very nice. We can also see the current tasks our pals are able to do. So we've got this Gumas guy here who can plant. He's got that little green plant. Let's move him down into the pal at the base. We now have our first pal who's going to wander around inside the blue circle and try and do the job they can do. Again, we can see here, if we view details, their work suitability and their passive skills. So we already know the big boy here likes to plant. Let's go ahead and put down a berry planter so we can put down some berries. Very nice. He's going to go over here and keep planting. It's inside the blue circle, and this is literally the only job he's doing. You can see who's working here, what they're doing, and what needs to be done next. There's also a little sanity meter you can see as well. While pals are working, their sanity goes down. Okay, you want to keep your eye on that. Now, we also want to water these plants. Let's find a pal who can water and move them in our pal box down into the pals at the base. Hey, we've got a watering pals. I don't know which pal you're going to have caught up to this point. Okay, so you're going to have a pal that can water, and if you don't, go catch one that looks like they water. Catch somebody who's blue or by the water. Now, to help with our pal's sanity, okay, put down some pal beds. This is the secret to raising their sanity. Don't overwork them, okay, and put down pal beds so they can rest. Easy. Now, notice here, our little Gumas guy's planting. That's all he does. But our little penguin boy, the little blue guy here, he can build and water. And currently there's something to build, so he's not watering. But I put down 2 more beds. What do you think he's going to do? Will he go water, or will he keep building? We're going to see here this little interaction. Oh, he went to go build. This is important to know. Sometimes you have a pal who's just not quite doing what you want him to do, and that's because they have another task they have access to that they've gone off and done. So you want to keep your eye on that. Hey, this guy took a ton of research, testing, and time to put together. If you found it helpful and want to help me making more content like this, consider joining as a channel member or Patreon supporter. Your support directly funds the channel and helps me stay independent. Thank you. Okay, the third bed of 4 is done. Does he go water? No. He goes and keeps building beds. Okay, there's nothing left to build in the base. Does he go water? Yes. Okay, so on one hand, sometimes it's nice to have a specialized pal that can only do one job, but early on and often you have a pal that can do multiple jobs. Again, we can go into the details and see he can transport stuff. So once these berries are done, this little guy here is going to carry them over to a berry box once we build that berry box, feed box, whatever it's called. Now you might say to me, Vadd, I don't have these things. Well, remember, you have your tech tree points that you've been saving up because you're not spending them, right? Wink. So go ahead into your tech tree and unlock it like we talked about at the beginning. Unlock this in your tech tree. There we go. Our base is officially self-sustaining. None of the pals are going to starve. Their sanity won't go too crazy. All is well. Let's upgrade the base. You can see here, in order to do this, we need to build a wooden chest and deploy a pal to work. And now when we upgrade the base, it'll increase the number of pals that can work. There's lots of good production buildings to build. I'm going to build the ranch next. You can build whatever production building or ranch building you like to build next, but I know I have somebody I want to put in the ranch, so I'm going to do that. Maybe you got someone who likes to cut trees, so you put down, a different production building first, but I'm going to start with this ranch because I happen to get that Vixie from the Syndicate base earlier on the walk over here. And I know Vixie can work in the ranch. Whenever you build a building, it's going to show you right in the middle. Hey, it requires farming. It's going to have the icon and the name of the skill. So you can always use that as a reference point to then come back to your pal box and see who has that farming icon. Okay, I've got a Vixie. Let's go ahead and throw them out to work on our base. Yay. Now, Vixie, is going to be in here walking around, and over time she's going to find some items, which is very nice, and then someone with transporting will need to then pick up the items, or you'll have to pick them up yourself. Moving forward, keep leveling up, go out there and catching pals, getting that early game pal catch bonus once you catch a bunch of them, and keep adventuring, keep exploring, and just catching those pals and leveling up and finding new places and new things, and ultimately have fun, enjoy your time in Palworld. Other good objectives to work for are the missions. They're on the top there on the screen. You can complete missions, follow those objectives, get a lot of good stuff done in base upgrades. Check your pal box for what's next to upgrading your base. And as you continue to adventure on and level up and unlock new things, you're going to challenge the field bosses, these, roaming pals you can fight, you can catch. The tower bosses are a new challenge as well. And there's also caves to explore. There's so much adventure ahead of you. Now that your first base is really here coming together, it's time to get powerful. And this video here has the best early game pals to tame. I'll see you there. Just click the video on screen right now and I'll see you there to find some of the best pals to capture and utilize here in the early game. Do me a favor, if you like this video, click like, YouTube channel members, and the Patreon to support what I do. I'm Vadd, and I will see you in the next one.